I'm JD. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe. Please hit a like. And I'm continuing here with work on this very old vintage watch. I actually hand cleaned the watch earlier, and the results were really good. I used lighter fluid. It's the way you did it back in the old days, and I figured I wouldn't throw this watch through the cleaning machine, as I wanted to make sure that it all stayed intact. And now I'm oiling parts of the watch I know that need to be oiled, just so I don't forget. And I'm using various types of oil to do this job. So I'm oiling it, and I am making sure that all of the areas that need oiling, they look down here for a second, get oiled. A lot of times the shaft will actually touch the shaft of the wheel, will touch the outside here, and people apply oil to the other side, and actually the shaft is actually making contact with this side of the wheel. This here is the new part that I procured on behalf of the owner, and I've already oiled inside there. And this is the new part that's going to hold this wheel in place. So this is the wheel that goes in there, and it slides around, so you want to make sure there's a little bit of oil in there, and I've done that. And it's indented here, so I'm looking at a very slight indent on that. Let me see what so that indent then would suggest the indent in the wheel. That's the wheel and the indent would go this way, because it would match with that indent. So this is I believe it's a clutch wheel, and the clutch wheel goes in like that, and I need two tweezers here to put this in place, but this is the spring here for the clutch wheel, and that moves up, and then this moves, the click moves out of the way like that. Try to move this into place here. There we go. That moves out of the way, and it goes in like this. And the spring fits in this groove right on the inside. Let me just see if I can show you that up close. This is kind of the way it looks, like that. And there's a little tiny groove right here on the inside of the click that actually that holds the click down. That's what that little groove does. So it's not, so right here is not a smooth piece of metal. There's a piece of metal below that. That's kind of a cap or a groove on there that holds the spring in place, and then the spring is up just so slightly. Let's see if I can show that. Let me see, where is it? It's over here. It's over here, folks. There it is. Yeah, this is up ever so slightly to accommodate the groove. There it is. So you can just see it up just a bit. And that way when this rotates, it's going to go tick, tick, tick. So that'll work really well. And I've oiled these other parts, and I'll just put this aside. Now what I need to do is, perhaps I need to replace the joule in here. I'm going to have a look at that. It looks like it's cracked. This is going to be a little bit of a job to replace this joule. And with any luck, the upper balance joule is good. I'm not sure yet, but we'll get at that. But I need to replace this joule, or take this off and see if the joule is intact or not. So I'm going to do that right now. So what I'm going to do here is remove these two screws here and then take out this joule setting. This is always plenty of fun, trying to find the right joule for an old pocket watch like this. Now I see that there is actually a witness mark on the joule setting, which is nice. As well, when I take these out, these screws out, they should be exactly the same. I think in this watch they are. But I line them up and just make them left and right. That way when I put them back, they're left and right. And I'll probably have to push the setting out, as I don't think I'll be able to get a screwdriver in there to help me here. There we go, left and right. Now normally I could put a screwdriver in there, a very small bladed screwdriver, and rotate that, and then sometimes that'll lift out if you're lucky. If you're not lucky, it won't. No, that's not going to lift out. So you don't want to stress it, so you can push it out from the back. And you can use a piece of pegwood to do that if you've got enough strength in the pegwood. And if the diameters are correct, then you can just push it out using the pegwood. Here's a piece of pegwood I've got here, but it's not flat, so I want a piece that's flat. I've got a new piece here, and the new piece should be flat on one side. And it is. And you can often just push like that to take it out. Like this, and then it falls right out, as you can see. And like I said, there's a witness mark in there, so I can separate the two, and now I can have a look at this joule setting. And yes, it does look cracked right through the center. So the cap joule looks fine, and I can actually throw the cap joule in the lighter fluid that I have here, because I took the lighter fluid, put a little bit in there for cleaning the balance staff. So I can just let it rest in there, and it'll get degrease the cap joule nicely, and I'll attack it with a thing later. But now the challenge is going to be finding another setting of this size. So I've got to check the hole size, I've got to check the setting size to make sure I've got the right setting size to replace it, and everything is kosher, because the depthing is very important on this as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that activity. That's going to take quite some time. I made other videos on how to do that. The other alternative is to replace the joule in here. And the other thing I could do, if I'm desperate and can't find a joule, a setting of this sort, is I can call Dave's Watch Parts and ask Dave Coatsworth, do you have a bottom setting joule for this kind of watch? But that could be tricky, because even Dave he'll ask me what the diameter is of the hole in the joule, and that may be, I can measure it because I've got pin gauges, or I can measure the pivot on the balance because I have a Seats jeweling measuring tool, so I can accommodate that, and then go from there. So but let's get this cap joule out of the bath for now, and just getting a little close, and then just gets the grease and gum out of the cap joule, and then yeah, nothing to worry about after that. I can see a separation of two joules in here. What's going on? Oh no, that's just the reflection. I was getting a reflection in the lighter fluid. Of course, I put a little faux leather pad on the bottom, but that faux leather pad it's foking me up because I'm not able to remove it here. So let me just remove this pad and put it on my desk. And now I can grab the joule, cap joule. There it is there, and I'll put that over on some watch paper. I'll show you that in a second. But that's, I could throw this one in too, which might make it easier to measure later on. But when you get joule settings that are bad, back in the day, the Elgin Watch Company would have their set of watchmaking joules and joule settings and stuff. They could just look at the serial number of the watch and determine specifically what joule was needed, and they just replaced that joule. It was not a big deal because they were a big company. But then later on, when there's the setting there, I'll put that on the watch paper as well. Later on, when they basically went under in the 60s, I believe, it was impossible. Well, there was stock left over called new old stock, so people were accessing new old stock to continue repairing pocket watches. Well, it just becomes more and more difficult over time to actually replace the setting, right? So we're going to do that, and I'm going to probably make this a very short video, part one.